as if someone had poked a needle through her ribs and deflated her lungs. She hadn't cried that evening when her husband came home and folded her into his arms, saying that they'd try again, and also that he was sorry about her aunt. She hadn't cried that night, as Mungo slept, and she stared into the blackness of their bedroom thinking, why did pregnancy happen to everyone else and not her? Was she broken? And why hadn't she called her aunt before now? Why had she wasted so much time? She nearly cried 2 days later while ransacking the house for her passport before discovering it in her knicker drawer. What was it doing in there? Maggie blamed the IVF hormones. But then she was so busy travelling to France that she didn't have a moment to cry. She might have cried when, somewhere over the channel, the baby sitting on its mother's lap beside Maggie vomited breast milk over her jeans, but still somehow no tears. She couldn't detect anger or sadness or frustration. She couldn't detect anything. She just felt empty. Or perhaps barren was more appropriate. Yes, Maggie's whole body felt barren. Bonjour, madame, said the man behind the car hire desk at Nice Airport with a wide smile. He had gelled hair, extremely overpowering aftershave, and a badge pinned to his lapel that declared his name was Marcel. Bonjour, Maggie murmured, hoping that Marcel wasn't going to try and sell her extra insurance. She pushed her phone across the desk. The bookings should be under Lemon. This is my reservation number. Fantastique! And for just €30 a day extra, would you be interested in taking out the excess insurance? No, thank you. Just the car. Unfortunately, because of Marcel's aftershave, Maggie backed away from the desk so quickly that she didn't hear his directions, and it took half an hour to find the car in the car park, and another 15 minutes of lurching between rows while she tried to locate the exit and second gear. Fuck off, you French lunatic, she shouted, as she crawled onto the motorway and a passing car blared its horn at her. Swearing was very rare for Maggie because she had an unusually calm nature for a chef. She rarely swore and had never shouted in any kitchen or even snapped at Mungo when he corrected people who mispronounced their surname. It's Lemon, actually. Next, her phone rang. Hello? Hello? Mungo, can you hear me? She shouted over the noise of lorries thundering past. Mungo? I can't speak for very long because I haven't got much Hi, darling. Just checking in. Have you arrived safely? It's not a great moment, Mungo. Can you hear me? I'll ring you later. But he couldn't reply because Maggie's phone chose that moment to run out of battery entirely, which meant she lost the directions on Google Maps. Mungo was in the middle of a property deal and had been unable to fly out with her. And although Maggie had repeatedly assured him that it was fine, that she could manage, right then, she wished he was there because she felt so alone, making a pilgrimage to a place she tried not to think about for so long, because thinking about it stung. She should remember the way, but finding the small road that twisted from the motorway up into the green hills and pine forests that blanket that part of Provence was a challenge when vast trucks and vans were roaring past her towards Marseille. It was another hour before she found the right junction and started recognising the countryside. There was the 14th century abbey on the hill. There were the perfectly formed vineyards and the bend where tourists often stopped to take pictures of the sun-drenched valley. Maggie drove on through medieval towns of stone churches and shuttered houses with names that came back to her like old song lyrics. Fayence, Draguignan, Classon. After Classon, she turned off the air conditioning and opened the car windows for the unmistakably Mediterranean smell of pine and scorched earth, filling her lungs with it. And then finally, she came to the stretch of road that curved up into the hills like a ski slope, bend after bend, that road that led to the village of Narnès and Le Figuier. She crunched down a gear as she approached the turning. First-timers often shot past the gates to the hotel because they were set back from the road. The only clue that you were in the right place was a small metallic sign decorated with the illustration of a fig tree. The discreet entrance a deliberate ploy by her aunt to put off journalists and photographers. She hadn't been here for 8 years, but the sight still made her smile. The dusty limestone track, The ornate...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.